24,000 rose petals, a battalion of wild fans, and an entire mansion as a wedding gift. Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew's wedding was a glorious celebration of excess. British royal weddings have always intrigued the masses, and they've only been getting more popular each go-around. In the United States, viewing parties have become common practice, to the point of inspiring how-to guides. You may have even stayed up all night just to catch the opening ceremony of Prince William and Catherine's wedding in 2011, or woke up early to watch Prince Harry and Meghan Markle exchange vows in 2018. Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson's wedding was no exception to the hype, despite taking place decades earlier. According to the BBC, the 1986 ceremony attracted around 500 million viewers worldwide, an impressive number even by modern standards. The same article reported that Westminster Abbey was packed with nearly 2,000 wedding guests. After the ceremony, roughly 100,000 people gathered at Buckingham Palace to catch a glimpse of the new Duke and Duchess of York kissing publicly for the first time on the balcony. The moment appeared to belong to the people as much as it did to the royal couple themselves. If you live for the royal fashion scene, you're going to love Sarah Ferguson's 80s chic wedding dress. She wrote in her memoir, My Story, "It was amazingly boned, like a corset. We'd chosen Duchess satin because it is the creamiest material in the world. It is smooth as glass and hangs beautifully without a single bulge. As for her 20-foot veil and 17-foot train, she joked that they weren't nearly as easy to manage. Sewn into the dress were several important coats of arms, including thistles and bumblebees for her family, and an anchor, likely to represent Prince Andrew's Navy background. On her head, she wore a gardenia flower crown in honor of her husband-to-be's favorite flower, as she explained in her memoir. It's clear from her special customizations that she did everything she could to tie herself to the prince.
That's her train with the A embroidered in the middle of it. She can't use that for anybody else's wedding now.
Around the time of Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew's wedding, Fergie fever ran rampant. Just before the July wedding, the New York Times published a story about the rising fame of Fergie, as the papers of the day called her. There seemed to be an endless fixation on the most trivial aspects of her life. Journalist Steve Lohr wrote, "She likes horses, swimming, tennis, champagne, spinach soufflés, Trivial Pursuit, The Rolling Stones, Duran Duran, the high-grade pulp novels of Jilly Cooper, and Philip Morris cigarettes." People became fascinated with Sarah to the point of obsession and absurdity. According to the New York Times, Sarah Ferguson merch and news flooded the market. Just a couple of hours after the wedding, replicas of her dress were hitting the market. Similarly, when Madame Tussauds unveiled a wax figure of Sarah, one photographer rushed to get measurements of the figure's hips, which had apparently used her true measurements, per the Washington Post. Yikes. From the moment the soon-to-be bride and groom embarked for Westminster Abbey, their every appearance was followed by traditional ceremony, opulent decor, and royal indulgence. The royal family took to the streets in their best horse-drawn carriages, and it was quite a spectacle to behold. The Los Angeles Times described the church as being filled with tens of thousands of flowers that perfectly coordinated with Sarah Ferguson's wedding gown. Reportedly, the newlyweds' carriage was also decorated with 24,000 rose petals. As the ceremonial heads of state, members of the British royal family often brushed shoulders with world leaders, movie stars, and other high-profile public figures in the course of fulfilling their royal duties. It comes as no surprise, then, that Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson's big day was full of familiar, famous faces. On the more official end of things, at least 17 royals from other countries made an appearance at the ceremony. Among the crowds of friends and family members, then Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and U.S. First Lady Nancy Reagan were spotted by the BBC. The Los Angeles Times also reported actor Michael Caine and famous pianist Elton John were in attendance. After the bride and groom exchanged vows, they were made the Duke and Duchess of York by Queen Elizabeth II.
Doesn't it seem a bit of a come down to go from a prince to a duke?
Well, it's a different thing. You see, a royal duke is as good as a prince.
Sarah was now closer to the crown than the Queen's own sister and daughter. She wrote in her memoir, "In a trice, I had become Princess Andrew and Duchess of York, as well as Countess of Inverness and Baroness of Killyleagh. In the order of royal precedence, I now outranked Anne and Margaret. Among the women, I would stand fourth behind the Queen Mother, and the Princess of Wales." As a new Duchess, Sarah was expected to take part in some of the thousands of public events the royal family attends yearly, which is a hefty responsibility for a former commoner who just turned 26 years old.
I was a single working girl.
As fiancés should be, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson were very much in love on their magical day. Ahead of the ceremony, the bride-to-be said she dashed away nerves by channeling her love for Andrew. As she described in My Story, All I could think about was my perfect groom, awaiting me with pride, so fantastically good-looking in his gold-braided uniform, sword hung at his side. She later told Daily Mail, "July 23, 1986 was the happiest day of my life." For his part, the prince couldn't wait to get a glimpse of his bride once the music started at the church. In footage of the event, Andrew is seen keeping his eyes fixed on the aisle, waiting for her. Once he finally saw her, he smiled and held eye contact with her until she met him at the altar. On their way back down the aisle at the end of the ceremony, they smiled and talked with one another while holding hands, glowing with happiness. The Duchess of York received 2 beautiful rings from Prince Andrew, her engagement ring and her gold wedding band. Apart from being gorgeous, each ring has a meaningful history. Her engagement ring features a Burmese ruby, inspired by Sarah's fiery hair color, and a ring of diamonds. It was reportedly created by Gerard, a jeweler that has produced other pieces for the royal family, and was worth at least £25,000 in its day. By contrast, Andrew and Sarah's wedding bands were only made with one material, gold. The 2 rings, along with the other wedding bands worn by the royal family, were all crafted out of the same generations-old Welsh gold. Bethany Fenn, an industry expert, told CBS News, "The Queen, on her 60th birthday, she got gifted a kilogram of this Welsh gold, and she's been slowly chipping away at it with all these wedding rings ever since."
Even modern royal brides like the Duchess of Cambridge wear Welsh bands.
Arguably the best moment of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson's wedding was the dramatic reveal of the bride's hidden tiara. After the service, she had the gardenia headdress removed to reveal the sparkling band beneath, which she had borrowed from the Queen.
Do they let you keep the tiara?
Yes.
Really?
The Duchess of York also brought a unique bouquet with her to Westminster Abbey. Her flowers included the traditional myrtle adornments, but in an S shape rather than the usual rounded or cascading design. Myrtle, which is known for its association with love and happiness, was first popularized by Queen Victoria, according to the royal family's official website. Leave it to Fergie to come up with some clever redesigns of old family favorites. In her memoir, Sarah Ferguson described how she and Prince Andrew were showered with gifts. Presents poured in from all over the world, 2,000 by the end, so many that they were stored in the Palace Ballroom, which is roughly the size of Madison Square Garden. It took 4 people to catalog and organize the gifts. Apparently, the new Duchess attempted to write all of the thank you notes herself before seeking help. In addition to the presents they received from fans and guests, the newlyweds received a next-level gift from Queen Elizabeth II herself. According to Hello Magazine, the Queen had the Sunning Hill Park estate in Berkshire built for Prince Andrew and his new bride. That's one heck of a wedding gift. Diana Spencer and Sarah Ferguson actually knew each other long before they were royalty, so it came as no surprise that the late Princess of Wales would support her longtime friend on her wedding day. Diana, who was known for making fashion statements, attended the wedding in an eye-catching blue polka dot dress and a matching hat. She sat with then Prince Charles and next to the Queen Mother for the ceremony, and she was one of the last people the newlyweds saw as they left Buckingham Palace. In between all the fuss, she was also responsible for keeping an eye on Princes William and Harry, who were only 4 and 2 years old, respectively, at the time. As most brides have been told, you probably won't remember much of your big day because you'll be too exhausted, too stressed, and too busy during the actual event. As it happens, Sarah Ferguson lived through this herself. She chronicled in her book, "So much happened on my wedding day, and so little would I remember." What she does remember is the relentless all-night clamor of superfans outside of her window and the resulting migraine that started her day.
It's not a fairy tale, it's real life in there.
From then on out, she didn't have a moment alone or a moment to rest. Just before the ceremony, throngs of people packed into the streets to watch her carriage ride to the church. For the rest of the day, it was all crowds and guests. Even when the Duke and Duchess of York were finally able to escape to their honeymoon, they weren't truly alone. As she described it, "We were having dinner on the royal yacht. Serenading us from below was the Royal Marines Band, complete to the last tuba, 24 men marching up and down."